Hello and welcome to this presentation on the parish social profiles. My name is Trudy Dantis and I am the Director of the National Center for Pastoral Research. And I'm here today with my colleague Stephen Reid to walk you through this set of resources for your parish and diocese. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about ourselves and our office. The National Center for Pastoral Research is an agency of the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference. In the past, we've also known as the Pastoral Research Office. We're currently based in Canberra, but we were in Melbourne for a very long time, and some of our staff still work from there. The mission of our office is to place pastoral research at the heart of the Church's life and mission, as a tool for pastoral planning, and by responding to the signs of the times in our Australian context. And in carrying out our responsibilities, our office is inspired by gospel values and guided by the principles of Catholic pastoral theology. So what do we do as an office? Here's some of our research, and you might be familiar with some of these images on your screen at the moment. We have some 5-yearly projects, and one of them is the National Count of Attendance, which is an actual count of people attending Mass on a weekend in every parish church and Mass centre in Australia. We also participate in the National Church Life Survey, and our office coordinates the participation of all Catholic parishes in this study. Some of our other research projects that we've done in the past are a study on why people stop attending Mass, on understanding Catholic vocations in Australia, a study on religious congregations and their members, on parish vitality and building stronger parishes, on Catholic employers and employees, on young people, and this was a study done in 2017, and more recently on the Plenary Council. Each of these research projects is a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, and together they help us paint a picture of the Catholic Church in Australia. But we know the picture is not complete, and there will always be pieces to be added and more research to be done. Today we're going to learn about the National Catholic Census project, which is our biggest project ever. It's a 5-yearly project, and the entire process to create the parish profiles take quite a few years. Now here's a little bit of background. The project first started in 1991 in the Archdiocese of Melbourne, and 2016 is the 6th census covered by this project. We began creating the parish profiles way back in 2006, which is when we first created the parish social profile and the diocesan profile as well. And they were colored blue so that they were easily identifiable. And then in 2011, we created again the parish social profile. This time it's red in color. There was also the accompanying diocesan social profile, and it was the first year in which we created a national profile as well. Coming to 2016, and this is the information we're interested in, we've got the diocesan social profiles, we've got the national profile, and of course we've got this parish social profile, which we're going to study in detail today. Here's some more information on the project. Where do we get our data from? Well, the data is acquired from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and the data that we receive is data on the Catholic population and the total population for every parish in Australia. Now, it's all based on the diocesan and parish boundaries, but it's the nearest fit, so it will not represent the canonical boundary exactly. And why is that the case? Because the ABS produces the data based on SA1, Statistical Area 1s, and we might learn a little bit more about this a little later in this presentation. But the profiles are free, and it's available to any parish and any diocese in Australia, and any Catholic organization as well. The entire project is sponsored by the Bishops' Conference. Now, other census data is also obtainable for other geographical areas, other variables, and other religions as well.
Before opening the social profiles, it's important to understand the data behind it. Firstly, most information contained in the pages of the profiles is about individuals who self-identified as Catholic. So for census purposes, a Catholic is anyone who marked the box Catholic on the census form. However, there is an exception to that. You'll notice at the bottom of the question there is space to specify an other religious group. Since the 1996 census, following consultation with the Eastern Catholic bishops, Eastern Catholics have been counted separately from Western or Latin Rite Catholics. Catholics belonging to the Chaldean, Maronite, Melkite, Syro-Malabar or Ukrainian Catholic churches have been requested by their bishops not to tick the box Catholic on the census form, but rather to write, for example, Chaldean Catholic in the space provided. These Eastern Catholics who were unaware of this request and who ticked the box Catholic are counted as Western Catholics. May I also point out one change that occurred on the religious question between 2011 and 2016. That was, the no religion option was moved from the bottom of the list to the top of the list. Though small in detail, it had a significant impact on how people responded to the question. So who is counted in the social profiles? Well, as I mentioned, the information is mainly about Catholics living within a parish, but there's also data about the total population. Predominantly the data is about individuals, both Catholics and some non-Catholic information. But as well there is data about Catholic families, where one or more persons in a family is Catholic. And there is data about Catholic households, where at least one or more persons in a household is Catholic. We often get numerous questions about the geography of parishes. Typically, where are my parish boundaries? There are two types of boundaries we look at before we order the customised census data for the parish profiles. Firstly, we start off with the canonical parish boundaries, which is in an area approved by the bishop. There are currently around 1,300 or so geographical parishes in Australia. Secondly, we then look at what the Australian Bureau of Statistics calls Statistical Area 1s, a collection of around 57,500 geographical areas containing an average population of around 400 persons. We then lay one on top of the other and try to align the statistical areas into the canonical boundary on a best fit basis. It's a bit like fitting a jigsaw together within a frame, and sometimes the boundaries will fit nicely within that frame, but more often than not there will be slight variations. However, the slight variations rarely have much impact on overall parish populations.
Let's start unpacking your parish social profile. Now, before you do that, I hope you all have downloaded a copy of your parish social profile. If you haven't, you can pause this video right now and go to our website www.ncpr.catholic.org.au. Click on the menu item Catholic Social Profiles and then select 2016 Parish Social Profile. Once you're on that page, you'll have to select your diocese and your parish. And from this page, you can access the profile of any Catholic parish in Australia. So the best way to begin understanding your parish social profile is to begin right at the beginning. This profile is divided into 3 sections. The first section is what we call the summary pages. This is followed by the parish overview pages. And lastly, we have what we call the detailed pages. An easy way to find these 3 sections is to look at the table of contents on page 1. And here you can see the summary pages are pages 2 and 3, also known as at a glance pages, that provide you with some key statistics of your parish. The next section, the overview pages, are pages 4 to 7, and they provide an overview of your Catholic community and how it's changing. This is a useful tool for pastoral planning. The last section, and perhaps the bulk of the parish profile, are detail pages. These details are of Catholics in your parish, and they allow for a deeper analysis of the nature of your Catholic community as you plan for particular areas of ministry. One of the easiest ways to access key data for your parish is to look at the snapshot on page 2. This is the snapshot of some of the most important figures for your parish, and they include the Catholic population, the percentage of Catholics in the total population, and other figures such as the median age of Catholics in your parish and the total number of Catholic families. Also provided here are the numbers of Catholics who live alone, those who are born overseas, those who don't speak English well or are in need of assistance with co-activities, and those who have changed address since 2011.
So what information is contained within the profiles? Well, there are a range of variables included which can all be utilised for planning purposes. For example, if you are interested in young people or Indigenous people or migrants or any of the other groups in the slide, you will find information about them in your parish profile. If you turn to page 3 of your profile, you'll see a list of 12 variables with a comparison between 2011 and 2016. This will help you identify at a glance where there have been changes in key indicators for Catholics in the parishes over 5 years, and which can assist in identifying possible trends that are occurring.
I have in my hand 2 parish profiles, one from my present parish in Canberra and one from my previous parish in Melbourne. And I want to see how these parishes have changed since 2011. So let's look at my present parish in Canberra. And I'm looking at the changes on page 3. While looking at the stats here, what it tells me is that in O'Connor Parish in Canberra, the Catholic population decreased in 2016. I can see here that we've had some increases. We have an increase in the number of Catholics aged 0 to 14, so we've got more young people. But we've also got increases in the number of Catholics aged 65 plus, which means more older people as well. I'm looking at the number of Catholic families, and I can see we've got declines there as well. The number of Catholic families has decreased, as have the number of Catholics living alone. But we seem to have an increase in the number of Catholic students attending Catholic schools, so that seems to be good. Let's look at the Melbourne parish. So these stats are of the Craigieburn parish in Melbourne. And looking at the stats here, it tells me that the population, the Catholic population of Craigieburn seems to have increased greatly in 2016. We've got larger number of Catholic families, many more Catholics living alone in 2016. But we also have a number of increases in Catholics born in non-English speaking countries. And therefore, the percentage of Catholics not proficient in English seems to have increased as well. Now, one of the declines in the parishes are the number of Catholic students attending Catholic schools. And we seem to have some increases in Catholics with a university degree. So as you can see, this is a really easy way to identify the changes happening in parishes. And you might want to pause this video and look at your parish profile and see what changes are occurring there.
On pages 4 to 7 of the profile, you'll see an overview of the parish summarised in 8 tables. Each table has 6 columns of information. So what do these columns mean? The first 2 columns show a comparison between 2011 and 2016, while the third and fourth columns show a comparison of the parish to other parishes in the diocese and all parishes in Australia. The final 2 columns provide you with a ranking for your parish against other parishes in the diocese and Australia. So for example, a ranking of 1 in the diocesan group indicates that your parish is in the 20% of parishes with the highest value for this variable in the diocese. A ranking of 5 indicates your parish is in the 20% with the lowest value in the diocese.
next section focuses on the detailed pages of your parish social profile. These pages run from page 9 to 25 of your profile. This section contains a number of tables and graphs that display information on a variety of variables, and you can find a list of these on page 8 of your profile. The detailed pages also contained several cross-tabulation that compare information of different variables. For example, I have a table here that compares the marital status of a person by age and sex. And there's another table here that compares weekly income by the number of dependent children. Let's look at some of these tables and graphs in more detail. The first section we're going to look at in the detailed profile is the one on religious affiliation on page 9. And in your profile, you see a chart at the top and a table at the bottom. And both of these are on your screen right now. So the graph on your left-hand side is the religious affiliation of all people who live within the boundaries of the parish. And so I can see that in this parish, which is Bentley East and Moorabbin Parish in the Archdiocese of Melbourne, there are a number of Catholics, very many Catholics, but an even greater number of people identifying with no religion. And so this then is an invitation to the parish to think about what involvement does it have in ecumenical and interfaith activities and programs, and how might it reach out to people who identify with no religion. Also, what impact does this increasing number of people who identify with no religion have on the parish itself? Now, on the table on your right-hand side, that's a table that shows me the religious affiliation by age. And so I can see very clearly there's a breakup of Catholics, and it shows me that most of the Catholics in this parish are all Latin Rite Catholics. There's hardly anyone from the Eastern Rites there. But looking down at the columns, I'm looking at the first column, which is the total number of Catholics aged 0 to 9 years. And I can see that this parish has about 1,468 Catholics in that group. And this then is an invitation for the parish to think about how does this figure compare with the number of children baptized in the parish in the period 2007 and to 2016. The difference in this figure will tell you about the families who choose, Catholic families who are choosing not to have their children baptized either in the parish, or perhaps there are those families who choose to baptize them somewhere else. Pages 10 and 11 show you details of age and sex for the Catholic population, and the two charts on your screen appear on page 11. These charts are from the Craigieburn Parish in Melbourne. The first chart shows you the age profile of Catholics in the parish in 2011 and 2016. And there are also comparisons to your diocese in 2016. And the ages in that chart are in groups of 10. So as you can see, in Craigieburn Parish in 2016, there was a slight decrease in the number of Catholics under 50. And you can see the pink line there is slightly lower than the dark purple line. However, in the same time, there was an increase in the number of Catholics aged 50 and over. In comparison to the Archdiocese of Melbourne, however, Craigieburn appears to have a slightly higher percentage of people of under 50 years and a much lower number of older people, especially those aged 60 and over. Moving on to the chart on your right-hand side. And this shows you the age and sex of Catholics, males and females, in age groups of 5. So the light purple on the left-hand side are the numbers of Catholic males, and the dark purple represents Catholic females. And as you can see in Craigieburn Parish, it's quite a young population. There are a large number of Catholics under 50 years of age, and it's almost equally balanced, equal number of males and females. There appear to be, however, slightly greater numbers of women than men. And this is more noticeable in the older age groups, aged 75 and over. However, it appears that when it comes to children, there are slightly greater numbers of male children, especially under the age of 10, as compared to females. Now let's look at another chart. And here I have the similar charts for O'Connor Parish. And you can see that it's quite a different profile. Both charts show you a very large number of young people aged 20 to 30 years. And you can see in the chart on your right hand side that even the figures for those aged 15 to 19 are quite large as well. So why is this so different? Well, if you knew the parish context and if you knew the geography of the parish, you would know that this parish has a university within its boundaries. And this now makes sense. The data now makes sense. So it's really important when you're looking at charts and data and tables for particular parishes to understand the context of that parish. But if I want to check if my hunch is right, I could go to another section, and I'm now looking at these details in the profile on page 20, which show me the attendance at educational institutions. And I can see here that there are definitely a large number of both Catholics and non-Catholics who are attending university or other tertiary institutions. This then is an invitation to this parish to think about ways in which they might connect to the young people in the university, and also what services they might offer, especially for the Catholics who might attend there. Let's look at another section. And here then are the details on the birthplace of Catholics, which appear on page 17. There are two charts on this page and a table as well. And I'm looking at the profile of Rockingham Parish in the Archdiocese of Perth. So the first chart on the left-hand side, which are all the colors in pink, show the top 5 birthplaces of Catholics born overseas. And I can see here that the parish has a high number of Catholics from the UK, the Philippines, New Zealand, Ireland, and South Africa. The next chart, which has the purple bars, shows the Catholics, that it's the top 5 birthplaces of the highest proportions of recent arrivals. So that's Catholics who've arrived in the last 2 years before the census. So that means between the years 2013 and 2016. And I can see that the pattern of migrants in this parish is changing. So apart from the Philippines, our newer parishioners are from Brazil, Vietnam, China, and Poland. Now the table that appears on this page is a similar representation of these graphs as well. And you can see that it tells me that nearly 38% of all Vietnamese Catholics in this parish arrived in the last 2 years. And similarly, nearly 1 in 3 Filipinos, it says here, 31% of all the Filipinos in this parish arrived in the last 2 years as well. So the implications of ministry then for this parish is to think of the ways how the cultural makeup of the parish is changing, and what difference does the presence of these different groups make to the parish. Also, it's an opportunity to think about parish programs and activities. How can we welcome people from other countries and help them settle in, make friends, and build relationships with people of similar cultures? What percentage of these people from different cultures are involved in parish groups, and especially in leadership roles? And how can the parish better connect with those who have recently arrived? I'd like to draw your attention to the textual commentary that appears in this section in the detailed profile. So on all these pages from pages 9 to 25, at the very top of the page, you'll find this commentary that's been provided for you that contains useful information, some national figures, and also has some relevant questions. So I'm looking here at the commentary that appears on page 13, where we've got details of marital status. And it's telling me that the marital status patterns of Australian Catholics have changed. In 1991, we had about 55.4% of Australian Catholics who were married. However, by 2016, these figures have now dropped and are down to about 49.7%. And you can see there's a question there that invites you to reflect on the data that's provided in this page. And here it's telling me how might changes in the marital status patterns affect the life of the church in this parish. Do they result in the need for new pastoral services and programs? So you'll see these questions and this sort of information on every page as well. I'm also going to show you this next section, which are the details that appear on pages 24 and 25 of your profile, and this is related to occupation. So it's telling me that the commentary tells us that Catholic women are more likely to be employed as managers or professionals. And then there are some reflection questions there for you to reflect on the situation in your parish as well. What are the major occupations for male and female Catholics in your parish? And what are the major occupations of younger people, middle-aged people, or older people? And how can all this information help the parish to connect more effectively with parishioners?
While the profiles provide us with a lot of detailed information, it's important to remember what they do not tell us. The profiles do not tell us about religious faith or belief, such as how many Catholics in the parish believe in God. The profiles do not tell us about the attitudes of Catholics towards the Church. The profiles do not tell us about the religious practices of Catholics, such as how often individuals attend Mass. The profiles only tell us about those who self-identified as Catholic on the census form. And there are some additional important caveats to remember when we were looking at the parish profiles. One is that census is about the big picture, not small detail. Again, I use the analogy of a large jigsaw puzzle. You won't understand the picture being pieced together until you have placed all of the pieces. You may have a hunch when you start to see it come together, but to get a complete picture, you need all of the pieces. And so the census is about the big picture, not individual detail. But that is actually a strength of census data. It includes everyone, but it also keeps individuals' details confidential. Other strengths of census data include the fact that it is high quality data. It is available for very small areas and it is updated every 5 years. However, we also recognise there are a number of limitations. As I mentioned, census data does not tell us about religious faith or practice. We turn to other sources to get that information. The census offers a broad picture, not one of precision, and it becomes out of date towards the end of the 5-year cycle. One last caveat about the census data within the profiles, and there is a note about this at the bottom of page 10 of your parish profile. You may notice that every so often throughout the profiles, Catholic population figures may vary from table to table. That occurs because of a randomisation process the Australian Bureau of Statistics uses to protect the confidentiality of you, me, and every other Australian that completed the census form. Remember, small variation in figures do not impair the value of census data because it paints a broad picture. But care should always be taken in interpreting small counts in tables.
We've heard a lot about census data today, and if you're hungry for more, here's another tip. You can get more out of your social profile by combining census data with data from other sources. Think about the data sets you might have in your parish. You probably have mass attendance data that you collected in 2016, and you might have some data or statistics of the number of young Catholics being baptized or those receiving First Communion. Now, when you combine the population figures from the census with those sets of data, you can work out the percentage of Catholics coming to Mass on the Sunday or young Catholics receiving their First Communion. Here's a simple example. I have on my screen at the moment Mass attendance data for Parish X, which is a sample parish. So in 2016, the average attendance in Parish X was 280 people on the weekend. And from their census data, they now know that the total number of Catholics in 2016 was 2,648. So working out a simple calculation by using the attendance figures divided by the total number of Catholics and multiplied by 100, you get an attendance rate of 10.6%, which means that in 2016, 10.6% of Catholics attended Mass in Parish X. If you're an advanced user and you'd like to combine data from many different sources, this graph on the next slide combines data from 3 different projects. We have the Mass attendance figures from the National Count of Attendance, which we just used in the previous slide. We have the total number of Catholics in each age group, and this is from the Parish Social Profile. And we've got an age profile of attenders because the parish might have participated in a National Church Life Survey. So combining these figures together produces a chart like this. This is a chart of Catholics in Parish X. And you can see I've got the data from 3 sources, the Census, the National Church Life Survey, and the National Count of Attendance as well. There's a list of sources at the bottom left of your chart. What does this chart show? The section that's colored in yellow, light yellow, represents the Mass attenders, and the section in blue represents the non-attenders in 2016. And the bars on the chart are age groups of 5 years each. So it shows me the first at the bottom, for example, is 0 to 14 years. So all those under 14 and under, and then you have the age groups in 5 years each intervals. And what the chart tells me, in this particular parish, those aged 50 and below, the Mass attendance rate for all these age groups is under 10%. You can see it's almost 4%, sometimes 3%, especially for the youth and young adults there. However, in the parish, for those aged 55 and over, there are higher Mass attendance rates, and the highest rate is in the age group of 75 to 79 years, where the rate is over 40%. If this all sounds too complicated, let us do the work for you. This year, we're also offering parishes the opportunity for us to provide them with an extended profile for a small cost. What does an extended profile contain? Well, an extended profile does just this. It combines data from different data sources. So we've combined your census data with Mass attendance figures, and if your parish participated in the National Church Life Survey, we can use those figures as well. So in the extended profile, some of the elements are changes in demographic characteristics over 25 years where possible. We can also look at your Mass attendance figures and how that's changed over time. We also provide you with CFA scores. So those are the socioeconomic indexes for areas in the parish that show you the areas of disadvantage and advantage as well. And you can have different graphs and charts. For example, if your parish participated in the National Church Life Survey, you can have an age and sex graph of the population and compare that with the age and sex chart of those attending Mass on Sundays. For more information on the profiles, head to our website ncpr.catholic.org.au. Here you can find the diocesan, parish and national profiles from 2011 and 2016. And you can contact our office if you need your 2006 profile. The June 2020 edition of our NCPR newsletter was a special issue containing more tools to unpack and reflect on your parish profile. and you can click on the link below to access and download this newsletter. This brings us to the end of this presentation, and we hope you've really enjoyed it. I sometimes get asked about the next set of resources. When will we see more recent data? Well, the next Australian Census is in 2021, which is next year, but we might not get the data until a year later. And by the time we prepare the profiles, it might be a few years hence. So we will be using this set of resources for quite a while longer. Now, we really hope you've enjoyed this presentation. If you have any more questions or need more information, feel free to contact Stephen, Reid, or myself at the office, and we'll be happy to help you. I'm looking forward to the next set of data in 2021. We know we're going through COVID-19, and we also have the Plenary Council coming up next year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Catholic community changes during this time. In the meantime, we wish you all the very best with unpacking your parish social profile. Thank you for watching this presentation, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.